It happened on one of those evenings when the sky looked heavy with rain, the kind of sky that makes everything quiet before the first drop falls. The world felt muted, softer than usual, as if it were holding its breath for something important. And somewhere in that quiet stood a man named Daniel, a single father, exhausted from work, still carrying the weight of grocery bags in one hand and the invisible weight of life in the other. He wasn't planning on being anyone's hero that day. In fact, he barely had the strength to be his own. Daniel had just picked up his 10-year-old daughter, Lily, from her after-school program. She was talking about her science project, her voice full of excitement, her dark curls bouncing as she walked, a rare moment of brightness for a man who had forgotten what real light felt like. He smiled at her, even if he didn't feel much inside. He always tried. That was one thing everyone knew about him. He tried, even when life made it nearly impossible. The parking lot outside the community center was almost empty. The street lamps flickered on one by one. And that's when Daniel heard it, the sound of muffled crying. It wasn't a child's cry. It was deeper, older, wounded in a way that made his heart ache instantly. He hesitated. He had things to do, dinner to cook, homework to check, a life to keep from falling apart. But something in that cry felt like an invisible tug on his soul. He set down the grocery bags and told Lily gently to stay inside the car. Following the sound, he walked toward the side of the building, where a narrow alley led to the back entrance. There, sitting on the cold ground with her arms wrapped around her knees, was a young woman, early 20s at most, trembling like a broken bird. Her hair was drenched from the misty air, her mascara smeared, her breathing shallow and unsteady. She looked like someone who had fought too hard for too long and had finally lost the battle. When she heard footsteps, she stiffened. Her eyes, swollen and red, shot up toward him. "Please," she whispered, voice cracking. "I'm hurt. Please, leave me alone." And Daniel could have. Some people would have walked away, thinking it was none of their business. But he saw something in her expression that he recognized, something he knew too well. The look of someone who has run out of places to go, people to trust, reasons to keep trying. So he didn't leave. He crouched down slowly, keeping a respectful distance. "I won't come closer," he said softly. "I'm not here to bother you. I just want to make sure you're safe." But she shook her head violently, wiping her face with trembling fingers. "No, no one ever makes things better. Just go." That sentence hit him harder than she expected. Because Daniel had once been the person saying those exact words. During the divorce. During the nights he cried alone when he thought Lily couldn't hear. During the moments when he felt like the whole world was pressing him down into the ground. He looked at the young woman and saw a reflection of a version of himself he never wanted anyone else to experience alone. "My name's Daniel," he said quietly. "My daughter is in the car. We're just heading home. But I heard you crying. And maybe I can help. Or maybe I can just sit here so you don't have to be alone in the dark." She pressed her lips together, trying to silence her sobs, but they slipped out anyway. "Just sitting," she whispered. That's all, he promised." For a long moment she said nothing. Then, with her whole body still shaking, she gave the faintest nod. So Daniel sat on the cold pavement beside her. Not close enough to make her uncomfortable, but close enough for her to know he was there. The rain finally started, slow, soft. Drops tapping on the ground around them like tiny reminders that the world keeps moving, no matter what. She tried to hide her face, as if ashamed to be seen like this. But pain isn't ugly, pain is simply human. And Daniel had seen enough of life to know that no one cries like that unless they've been carrying too much for too long. "My name is Mia," she finally said, voice small and fragile. "I didn't want anyone to find me. I wasn't looking for anyone," he replied gently. "But sometimes people cross paths for a reason." She let out a humorless laugh. "Nothing good happens to me for a reason. Maybe today is different," he said. Silence hung between them, heavy and emotional. Lily watched from the car window, her little face pressed against the glass, worried but trusting her dad. Daniel gave her a small reassuring wave. She smiled thinly and nodded back. After several minutes, Mia wiped her eyes and whispered, "Do you really want to know what happened?" "Only if you want to tell me," he answered. She swallowed hard. "I thought I was going to marry him. I thought he loved me. But tonight he said terrible things, things that made me feel like I was nothing. He left me here, just drove away. Her voice cracked again, fresh tears falling. And I didn't know where to go, she said. I'm so tired of being hurt. I just wanted to disappear for a while. Daniel felt a tightness in his chest. His own past flashed before him. The arguments, the nights spent alone, the feeling of being abandoned emotionally long before the papers were signed. He took a slow breath. Mia, I don't know you. But I know what it feels like to be shattered by someone you trusted. I know what it feels like to think you've run out of worth. But I promise you, you don't get to decide your value based on what someone broken said to you. She blinked at him, stunned by the sincerity in his tone. You remind me of someone, he continued. Someone I used to be. And someone I never want my daughter to become. So I'm not going anywhere. Not until you're back on your feet. Her lip trembled as she whispered, why are you being so kind? Daniel's eyes grew misty. Because once, when I said, leave me alone, someone didn't. And I survived because of it. Mia broke. Not in a bad way. In the way a person breaks right before they start healing. Her sobs came softer now, less desperate, more like the first step toward letting go. After a few minutes, Lily suddenly stepped out of the car, clutching her small purple umbrella. She walked slowly toward them, her shoes splashing through puddles. Daniel started to tell her to stay back,